Welcome to Aeos Clubhouse number 14, the Greedent release and also Halloween thing, and somehow they tried to tie them together. I'm Kyle Ferguson. I am joined by other lovely hosts such as Mochrie. Welcome, Mochrie.
Hello. You don't think Greedent is scary? I'm shaking in my boots at him.
And Kiyeberries, welcome.
Hello.
How are you all doing today?
I am doing well. I'm just, I had a little bit of a spook right as we were starting the show, as you saw when I tried to boot up the game and I was getting errors and they were telling me I didn't have an account. And I'm over here like, oh no, is everything gone? Do I have to work from the start all over again? But no, I just restarted and we got right back in. So, little sigh of relief. We're doing all right.
Excellent. I saw you both playing last night, though this was not a 5 p.m. Pacific Coast release. This was full-blown midnight again.
Yeah, it was. I expected it to come out during when we were playing last night because that's when the last like 2 Pokemon have come out. So I was like, yeah, it's cool. We'll be here when the patch hits. Incorrect.
It's just, I find it so funny that they can't seem to stick to a consistent release time. The game came out on Switch, I want to say at 2 a.m. my time, 2 a.m. Central. And then some stuff comes out at the 7 p.m. daily reset. Some stuff just seems to come out whenever they want it to. And we're all just sitting here, you know, us Americans just sitting here in our chat, just like, okay, does it come out at 2 a.m.? Does it come out at 2 p.m.? Does it come out at 11? And just fervently trying to decode all of this. It's a mad scramble every time.
Now, there is no secret invite-only PTR, a player test realm, is there?
Not that I know of, no.
Wouldn't be very secret if we knew, Kyle.
That, good point. Good point. I'm just saying that it's an interesting trend in video gaming that we're moving away from the PTR, or were we just so dedicated to Blizzard with World of Warcraft and Heroes of the Storm that we're just used to testing their games?
Other companies do test realms as well. They're not all called PTRs. Like the TFT has the PBE, right? I forgot what Dead by Daylights is called, but they have their test client as well. It's a thing in games. Not in this one, though, that I'm aware of.
Also by Riot, also has the PBE. Bethesda, for example, their live release of the game is typically essentially a beta test. Still needing many bug fixes.
There's a lot of those going around right now. I'm also playing Final Fantasy right now, Final Fantasy 14, which does not do any sort of player testing, but it's also very story-based, so they'd spoil their own story. So who knows if that's down the road. At any rate, lots and lots and lots came out for Pokemon Unite last night. You may jump in game and hear such music as the Halloween theme, which is a lot of fun. They've also added a whole series of quests and a quick play option that gets you quest progress. That's a whole business. We're going to get into that. But first, we're going to talk about Greedent, the new Pokemon to come out, a normal type, and one that had people groaning.
What's you? Okay, I will say this, all right? I have specific love in my heart for chunky squirrels. I actually have, and there's a reason for this, okay? Is that I went to U of H, the University of Houston, where everyone there is extremely fond of taking care of the local squirrels on campus. They are ridiculously friendly and definitely have eaten their fill many times over. And so as someone that would walk around with some peanuts, you know what I mean? And just, and these squirrels knew me. They'd come up to me at the campus. You know, I see Greedent and I see a friend. He's not particularly scary, but he is a friend. All right. So maybe not super fitting for Halloween, but I will fight anyone who slanders this new character.
Now, I could make a case that squirrels are fall themed because they're definitely busy this time of year.
That's fair. That's fair.
Was the squirrel a mascot, or is that just like the thing? I'm unfamiliar.
No, there were just these very large, rotund squirrels everywhere. Our mascot was a cougar.
Oh,
They don't get along.
No, I don't think so. Huh.
I have two pro Greedent thoughts. And my
Ooh.
first one is that he's completely random, right? I would have been surprised if they did a Halloween themed Pokemon just because we're in like character releases aren't really a thing that I tie with like events. Like they did Halloween, they did the game mode, they did skins. Those are all things you get for an event. But a whole character, like characters are forever. Events are only for a month or whatever. So releasing a Pokemon purely based on the holiday seems kind of weird, especially since not every country even celebrates Halloween. So the whole Pokemon being Halloween themed would be kind of weird.
That's fair.
But I like that they picked something completely just random out of left field. Find me one person who predicted that it was going to be Greedent. Find them, because they should buy into the lottery. Nobody thought it was going to be Greedent, and that's awesome. I'm glad they're just picking obscure, random, weird Pokemon rather than going with like the timeless favorites, starter Pokemon, the big like famous ones. Just give me, there's almost 1,000 Pokemon. Give me random stuff. Give me the teacup, right? Like just pull something out of there.
I literally didn't even
I think that's
know
awesome.
Yeah, I didn't even know that Zeraora or Greedent existed before I played this game, to be honest.
Right. They have such a huge roster of characters. It would be kind of sad if they just kept falling back on the favorites, the ones that we see all the time. Like, yeah, you gotta have Pikachu and Charizard and whatever, but also we have all these other obscure Pokemon that are probably somebody's favorite out there. And even if they're not, I think that is awesome.
Well, and
And then
my understanding is he's one of the normals. He's kind of a bush dwelling Pokemon that you'd run into and level up maybe early on before you got to your legendaries and stuff. And those things like Pidgey, honestly, I spent more time interacting with Pidgeys than I did Zapdos, for instance.
Yeah, that Pidgey's a good, like or Rattata. He's just a little squirrel that lives in the tall grass, man. I think that's great. And I also think it's great that he's a defender. And I'm ready to start a fight on Reddit about that, because the Pokemon Unite Reddit was big about how we don't need more. Mochrie heard this whole rant last night, and I'm going to do it again, and I don't feel bad about it.
Go for it.
But they're like, we don't need more defenders. We have too many defenders. They should release more speedsters. That's what people seem to think. But I want to fight about that, because in my games, no one plays defenders. No one plays tank. I go multiple games with no tank on either team, and it's a travesty, because I do believe that the defender is the strongest role in the game. The most important Pokemon in a team fight is your tank. They carry a lot of your CC. They carry your engage. They're your front line. Not having one is worse than not having a healer. And I know I've said that before, and I'll say it again. So it's like beatings will continue until morale improves. Tanks will continue until you play them. Like, I hope they just nonstop release tanks until every game has a tank on each team.
I think that's a fair approach.
I love it, yeah. No, because normally whenever it came to me and Kai and our long history of playing MOBAs together, it's always like, oh, I want to play supports, but Kai wants to play supports. And this has kind of opened up a nice little thing here where Kai gets to shuffle off onto tank, and then I get the Eldegoss.
Yeah, I've been playing tank the last week of my life. I've played more Blastoise and Mamoswine than anything. I've played so much tank. I think I've played like 4 Eldegoss games total, and all the rest are tank games. And they were mostly Blastoise until I realized there was that crazy quest for 24 Mamoswine games, and it's like, crap. So now they're all Mamoswine games. But still, all I do is tank because nobody else is going to do it.
I think there's also an interesting factor about the game length, because for the speedsters, for your assassins, for your carries, this always exists. There's that gamble feel in the air, like, ooh, I might invest an hour in this League of Legends Dota, but I might become a god by the end. And you lose and you go, maybe this next game I'll be a god, it'll be great, let me sign up for another one. But when it comes to defenders in such a short game, I find myself going, wow, that game was a lot like the last one. Either I defended well or I didn't, and my team might have been different, and I played slightly different, but I need some variety. I have to bring my own variety. And with so many different defenders that I'm interested in playing, I'm finding that. And Greedent is really, really interesting to me because he's so different than Blastoise or Mamoswine or our early defenders, like, of course, Slowbro, who has not clicked, but
Yeah, no, don't talk about that.
I feel like I'm the one person on planet Earth with a positive opinion of Slowbro. I have a blast every time I play that character, but I just see nothing but slander and hatred for him everywhere.
He says he has a blast when he plays that character, but he doesn't play it. This is a facade. This is a lie. He does not play that character.
I'm too busy carrying picking Eldegoss, okay, and picking Zeraora, all right? Like, it's a little bit low on the priority list for me personally, especially when I have a certain someone picking tank every game. Might I remind you, as you just said.
Nobody else, everybody's got 5 people showing damage characters, and I'm like, all right, well, this is...
I didn't say he's super OP or anything like that, although I do think Slowbro would be kind of nuts if we had a draft format because of how well he matches up into certain characters. But he's fun, okay? You know, balance aside, the character is fun. You get to reshape the battlefield with your mind. That's big pog, if you ask me. So I can't give him too much hate.
Well, maybe you want to reshape the battlefield with berries instead.
Yes. I just love this character. I'm telling you, he has big Quokka vibes. If you're familiar with a Quokka?
No?
They're like, oh man, okay. So Quokkas are like these tiny little rodents. I don't know, look almost like a squirrel guinea pig type deal.
I've Googled it, and yeah, no, he does look like that. I mean, they don't have a big floofy tail like Greedent does, but the face is very...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this picture of Chris Hemsworth with a Quokka. Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah, for sure. If you're listening at home, go Google a Quokka, slap a big fluffy tail on it that's like twice as big as the main body, and you have Greedent, okay? These things are amazing. They have a huge smile. They're perfect. And that's what I'm saying, you know, how could anybody hate on Greedent? Look at the buck teeth, look at the huge smile. The gigantic tail that just makes no sense. This is amazing to me.
He needs that tail to hide the berries.
Yeah.
There are so many gems of statements throughout these abilities, and we're gonna get to them here. Of course, you know, with any MOBA, any video game, a character comes out, it means another character didn't. So I think a lot of people feel that Greedent here stole the thunder and stole the developers' time.
I know I shouldn't be eating. I just took a big bite of the sandwich right as you said that. But I mean, like, I guess, you know, I'm going to say this right now. This is addressed to each and every individual listener. Greedent is better than whatever you wanted. Okay, right. I'm going to say that right now. I'm coming for everyone on this one.
And I think, too, the development cycles are so fast that it's an odd complaint in this sphere compared to other games.
It's like this saying that everyone's heard to describe every location on planet Earth when it's like, oh, you don't like the weather here? Just wait a couple minutes. It feels like the same way with Pokemon Unite. It's like, oh, you don't like the new character? Just give it a couple days. And then there's a different new character. The cadence is so fast right now, you might as well just wait a week and see what else comes out. And maybe we'll get Garbodor or something.
Please.
Who knows?
Well, let's dive
in.
in.
He just looks so cheerful. I'm looking at him right now, and he's so happy.
Wait, Garbodor?
I respect it.
Wait, no, not Garbodor. Oh. No, Greedent. Garbodor is also very happy. Please don't trash on my trash son. But
despite being literal garbage, Garbodor is making the best with the hand he's been dealt.
Well, I've been informed that make sure you pronounce it as Greedent, as in rodent. Don't go Greedent, because it's not about the greed. It's about the rodent.
It's not a very money-hungry tree participating in the battle for Middle Earth.
Yeah, well, you know, he might be covetous. He has an ability called covet. So I thought, okay, you know, we've got a covetous squirrel here. You know, maybe that smile is betraying some gluttony in the background. Also, what's the name of his lower form? Squovet?
Let's take a look.
I always said Swovit, but I've always said Swovit, but I think I mispronounced literally every Pokemon.
Swolvet?
But I've always said Swovit. Yeah, I don't know.
There's no I, but I just want to read it as Squoviet. Man, I have no idea. I'm going to go with Squovit for now.
Lucky for us, we say the final form, and that is the one we use when we talk about it in game, so it all works out well. This is a expert level Pokemon, style melee, defender, and a physical attacker. Its trait is Cheek Pouch. When the Pokemon eats a berry, that's important because there are many kinds of berries, they are all berries. It also recovers HP after receiving the original effect of that berry. At the same time, it stealthily stashes another berry in its tail. Being hit by a single attack or combination of attacks will cause a berry to drop from the Pokemon's tail. So basically, there's kind of like an internal cooldown. It's saying you might get hit by a big thing, you might get hit by a bunch of little stuff, a berry will drop out. And berries are plentiful. They flow like the waters of wine, because basic attacks also cause, every third basic attack causes increased damage and causes a berry to drop from the user's tail. So there's going to be berries everywhere, and they're just for you.
Are they just for you, or can other people consume your berries?
I think you've got blueberries. If you were watching the footage that Kyle had up on the stream earlier while we were bringing in his kit, he just seems to drop these blueberries everywhere that he can pick back up after using his abilities and basic attacks. It looked very similar to the way that Draven from League of Legends will toss axes around that then fall on the ground that you can go pick back up. It was reminiscent of that, although not quite the exact same auto attack based minigame. But it's certainly an interesting idea. And you said they give you survivability, Kyle?
Yes. So these heal you upon pickup, and then all sorts of abilities are going to use these berries that you are storing in your cheeks. And I can confirm, at least on the tier 1 form of the Pokemon, your cheeks do rustle and grow with the berries inside them.
Just giant cheeks, just filled with berries. Amazing.
I stared at it for a long time, and I think it's that they kind of go bloop and then return to a initial berry-filled size. They don't exponentially grow in cheekdom, sadly. So you can store up to 5 berries. 1 berry gives you bigger cheeks. The 5th berry does not cause 5 times that berry cheekage, which I'm a little sad about.
All this talk about dynamic cheek physics just sounds like the release of Red Dead 2 again.
You don't go there. That's not.
You get what I'm implying. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Really cool.
So the danger here about our Greedent is that you can pick up berries while at full health, including the succulent team berries, which are back behind you there at the goalpost. So if you are at full health, you can eat that berry and store it for later, but you will take those berries while at full health. So you might
denying your teammates who might need them later.
Exactly. Exactly. And as a defender who's kind of based on restoring your own health through all these berries, probably not the best idea to go stealing all the team-based berries.
I'm reading his moveset right now, and like I'm starting to go cross-eyed from the word berry.
You've got semantic satiation,
which is unfortunate because it's in my own name. But yeah, I'm like, there's a lot happening here.
That's true. Meaning this would be good marketing.
I'm looking at Greedent right here, and I'm wondering if you have the berries, does that stuff your cheeks even when you're a Greedent? Because it was very obvious when you were Squovit that you had puffier cheeks, but I look at Greedent with full berries and I kind of feel like he just looks like that.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He does not have dynamic cheek physics.
Only the first evolution.
Correct.
Okay. Because I was going to say, one of my favorite things to do as a MOBA player that really lets you have a very high skill cap on how to play matchups is watching out for those specific telltale animations in the other player's kit. And so I was like, oh, that's really cool, introducing a sort of level of counterplay that you can, check out Greedent's cheeks and get an update on his berry count. But it looks like with that only applying to Squovit, that is unfortunately not the case.
And you're going to be going through berries so often that there's really no reason to have a coach in game watching the enemy side and saying, look out, everybody, he's at full berries. he's stacked berries, everybody. There is going to be berries everywhere. And you will be walking over berries to collect them. Greedent in particular does this little like eat animation as he walks over them, but he's more beaver-esque. And I guess I don't associate beavers with the swole cheeks, so you know, like it works. I join your sadness though, that he is not actively showcasing his berry burden.
Wonderful alliteration there, my friend.
He also has like a cleaving attack. His basic attack, while not noted here, it has a lot of size to it, and you can hit all those bees in one big go. You are definitely going to be hitting more than one Pokemon if they're stacked up in any sort of zone.
And that's kind of a trend with melee characters in this game. I want to say that almost all melee characters will cleave when auto-attacking at melee range in this game. I'm actually not sure if there aren't any, like if there are any that do not cleave when they're up close.
It works really well.
Certainly something. What's up?
It works really well with the controller kind of feel of that, because you know, you range attacks, of course, you hit the thing you're aiming at. You know, you might need to use lock on and stuff of that nature and get some tricks going. But just running up to what you intend to hit and then hitting the thing slightly to the side, it would feel bad.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I didn't even think about it from that angle, but you know, you're pretty likely to have like 3 things in melee range, and if you've got one guy that's just you absolutely need to hit him and you can't, oh, that feels terrible. So that makes perfect sense.
And it gives it this action vibe. So much in other MOBAs, I find myself realizing the correct thing to do in an auto attack situation is just take my hands off the keyboard and just be like, let this ride, let my hero walk forward with them. In this melee situation, me clicking in excitement too much is actually going to cause me to select the wrong thing or a nearby lane minion. So it goes with the controller that I enjoy playing with here.
I get you.
Let's get to some of those starting abilities, starting with Tackle, which is great because it's so normal and so plain. I love it. Has the user leap to a designated area, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon in the area of effect and decreasing their movement speed for a short time. Now, this also causes all sorts of berry-related things in that you will...
Right, if you had stopped right there, it would have been normal Tackle, like every other Pokemon who starts out with Tackle, and then let's tack on a paragraph of berry-related things.
Right, so we're going to skip ahead a little bit because the words you will see are massive. If the user has any berries stashed in its tail at this time, it consumes all of them. The more berries the user has stashed away, the more the move's cooldown is reduced. So at maximum berries, you can do 2 tackles in a row. And you're going to have that big heal from consuming all that berry.
It's a lot of extra self-heal and survivability. Whenever you have the ability to pop up with suddenly a big self-heal, that just opens up so much bait outplay potential, right? Like, oh, haha, don't come at me, I'm so low. If you ran at me, I would get knocked out. And then they start to come at you and you say, and quickly eat up all your berries. And you're like, haha, surprise. And you have now successfully baited them in for the jungle gank. So what I just want to know, I'm looking at all this footage of you as the Greedent. Can the enemy team see where the berries are? Because if not, that means that the enemy Greedent's health could fluctuate in ways that you're really not expecting.
You're also...
But if they... What's up?
You're also not required to hit an enemy to consume the berries. So you can use this as a teleport of sorts. You can move around. You can get a double dash in if you were sitting on maximum berries.
Okay. Yeah, there's mobility, there's self-heal, there's tankiness. I'm liking this. I feel like Unite kind of has a similar situation to Heroes of the Storm. Haha, we've never mentioned that game before.
We've done so well this episode.
Where it feels like on its surface, it's like, oh hey, here is the casual MOBA. Enjoy the simplistic mechanics. And then it's like, here's this new character that has just 9 paragraphs on everything about how all the berries work and whatnot. And there's all these different high-level mechanics that you can do just super casually. And we saw the same thing with Blastoise, who had like 17 hidden mechanics when he came out. I think this game might be the new king of just having a ton of depth just under the surface for those willing to look for it. And so that is really exciting, also a little worrying, you know what I mean? Having a big disparity between the sort of common gameplay and the 9,000 IQ gameplay and the hyper complex kits. But it's interesting to say the least. One way or another, it's gonna come out in some way. This kit complexity, it's gonna be something to see.
I find myself so often getting into a game saying, all right, let's try this out. I have no idea what's going on. But because you can't figure out what's going on in the game I actually play, and maybe I contribute something to the quick match or standard play I just jumped into. So I guess that, working as intended. Because I know in hour-long MOBAs, I will go hide in the base and read because I've got no choice but to figure out what I'm doing.
Yeah, and if you take, a minute reading your abilities that you spent 45 seconds of just waiting to respawn anyway, then you're not causing your team to be deprived of too much. In Unite, first of all, you can't read your abilities during the game. You just don't have the capability to. You want to know what a move does and you're in game, better go use it. And also, if you're like 7 seconds late to something, then that is proportionally a massive amount of the game. And I know that Dreadnought, as we're about to talk about in a little bit, Dreadnought just got nerfed, all the bosses got changed. But rotating, even just like 5, 7, 10 seconds late to one of those is game changing. So it definitely feels much more experimental and just go out and see what happens rather than the sort of measured approach of reading it.
Your second starting ability will be Defensive Curl. Grant the user a shield for a short time. In addition, a berry will drop in front of the user. So, basic defending stuff. Now, your Tackle will be replaced at level 7 by another required berry-eating ability. So, no matter what, those berries are going to be getting consumed. However, first, you're going to go about replacing Defensive Curl at level 5. And your choices here are Stuffed Cheeks or Covet. And these are rather fascinating. So Stuffed Cheeks has the user drop several berries. More like you launch a cone of berries for yourself, which can be eaten to recover HP. Any HP recovered that exceeds the user's max HP will be converted to shield effects. If the user catches sight of a berry while using this move, its movement speed is increased for a short time.
What does catches sight of a berry mean? Like there's just a berry in your vicinity? Or do you have to actually eat it?
You might have to be running towards it. There's so many things that could mean. Because what if there's a berry, half an inch behind me, but I'm not looking at it? My physical character is pointed the other way. Do I have sight of that berry? There's so much to see experimentally to see how this works.
That's a great question. It doesn't particularly matter because you launch berries out in front of you anyway. So you are going to get this movement speed regardless.
That's fair.
However, it seems like it's based on which direction you're looking. So like if you have the berries out in front of you and you say, no, I'm full. And then you turn and there are other berries behind you, you will now be able to speed that direction as well. So there's a lot of berries. And chances are you will have so many berries that this is just the effects that it says you get movement speed increase. There's very little chance you will hit this and not be moving faster.
Okay.
The upgrade to this is it drops more berries.
Oh, okay. Cool. I always love when an ability, like I said on last episode, there's this huge difference between abilities that give you a kind of new side effect on their upgrade versus just like directly making the main effect more powerful. It's certainly interesting, you know what I mean? When it just buffs the effect of the actual thing that it's already on, it's just a straight up increase. Whereas other things, when they upgrade, you might as well not even care. So that's definitely going to be a big one right there.
Well, and at that point too, level 11, if you're winning and kind of reach that level 11 sometimes as well, this will be going straight to shields and be movement speed and shields. So there is maybe perhaps a kind of Crustly gameplay that can develop as you run to the enemy side. Don't really have the ability to steal their stuff as fast as Crustle, but have the speed to get away being in those positions.
Yeah, so long as you can get in and get out, you maybe you won't just exist in the enemy jungle on an extended stay like a certain Crustle variant does, but just having the ability to step to the side and get those backdoor turn-ins, if that's easily the difference between scoring like an extra 80 points or not. If you can just dip over to the side every now and then and get those turn-ins off. So that could potentially be really huge if you pick up a score shield.
Let's talk about Covet here. Has the user run with all its might, is the quote to start this off. Dealing damage to opposing Pokemon it hits and throwing them while running, the user drops berries from its body. If the user eats a dropped berry, its movement speed is increased for a short time. The more berries the user eats, the more the movement speed is increased. In addition, Belch and Bullet Seed can be used while the user is running. This does not bring up the fact that you are unstoppable for the entirety of this run, which is pretty lengthy. So
that is actually kind of absurd. If you just have a very high uptime, long duration, unstoppable.
Yeah. Kiyeberries?
So the bear, it says if you eat berries while you're doing it, right? But though you can't eat the berries that you're dropping because I assume they're dropping behind you, so you'd have to run into berries from a different ability.
No, so the words make it sound like you're dropping them from your tail, and that's the flavor. Almost all berries that you create are thrown out in front of you.
Oh, wow. Okay,
So
that's convenient.
Are you just regurgitating them and immediately eating them? Why?
Don't think about it too much.
Why are there all these extra steps to the process? I already have them in my mouth. You're just,
well, I think,
and then you immediately eat them back. Like what?
I think RP wise, they're in your tail.
Right.
They're in the tail, right? And he throws them out of the tail, and then you eat them.
But your cheeks are what's stuffed. I don't think we're talking about that kind of cheeks.
I think it's like kind of a Candy King sort of situation. You're sticky and you're covered in berries. You gathered berries before the battle, and many of these berries are being dislodged from your tail. So the auto attack berries fly out usually in like cone behind you, but ability based berries are always going to be out in front of you. So in this instance, and you can see it on screen here for the live show, you basically become Mario on ice. It's very Nintendo on ice in that way. You are sliding. Anytime you try to turn, you do these big sort of slippery movements. But as you do so, you have hearts appearing around you. You're infatuated. You're in the zone. You're in the berry zone, and you run faster or unstoppable. And you basically become a bulldozer. You just knock into people over and over again and try to mini stun them, knock them up while you're unstoppable yourself.
You know the meme and it's the lady and it's all the math like flying around her head? I feel like that's me right now, but it's just berries, right? It's just like I'm just here and I'm just like this berries and
there's a lot of optimization. It feels like just playing this guy.
I definitely feel like labeling this character as expert was probably correct.
Yeah.
This is not.
It's so deceptive though because all the text is about berries. And it's about him running with all his might. And he does. Level 11 upgrade for this. Damage is increased by this move and increase the frequency of the berry drops. You very quickly reach maximum speed here. What it means, though, about how Belch and Bullet Seed can be used while running, this is a lot like Rapid Spin, in that your other abilities are going to be augmented if you are using Covet at the time. So let's talk about the tackle replacement, your required berry eating abilities. The first up is Bullet Seed. Has the user spit berry seeds in a designated direction, dealing damage to the opposing Pokemon. Think Sylveon. You lock yourself into a direction.
As with Hyper Voice.
Right. However, any point over the duration, you can deactivate the hold down and retarget yourself and then continue spitting berry seeds during that time.
Sounds very useful.
It is.
Stop.
Deal damage to opposing Pokemon in the area and decrease their movement speed for a short time. The more berries the user had stashed away, the more damage the move deals. This is basically, the duration is the same. You will fire more seeds. So you will be doing more damage because you ate more berries to get this going. I see Mochrie rubbing his eyes like I'm feeling it too. It's a lot. It's a lot. So let's just dive right ahead. Let's just keep going for a moment. Belch deals damage to opposing Pokemon, an area effect, and decreasing their movement speed. The icon looks a lot like a fart, but it's definitely a belch. If the user has any berries stashed in its tail at the time it consumes them, the more berries the user stashed away, the more cooldown is reduced. Eating berries does not increase the damage, but the damage is pretty massive. We're talking like 1,200 when this ability is kind of being used in the middle of battle. Big frontal cone. These are lock yourself in the cone, burp, or bullet, 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 then retarget if you want, bullet, 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 bullet.
Seems like a continuation of a common trend in Unite, where you have these characters that are in the tank category, but seemingly have a build where you don't necessarily build them tanky at all. It seems like almost every tank, it's like you have the option of going for CC, you have the option of building for team disruption, or you can just be a really beefy damage dealer. And I feel like that's what's happening here with Belch and Bullet Seed. Although both seem to deal a decent bit of damage, but Bullet Seed's damage is absolutely absurd as I'm looking through the stats here. At level 15, dealing up to a total of 6,669, which is incredibly high, I feel like, for a move right there. Competing with Belch, which only does like about a third of that, it looks like, at the same level. A little bit over a third. So it seems like I said, just a continuation of the do you want tankiness or do you want damage? And I think that's happening right here.
It's not as like run into the middle of them easy to do as Blastoise's was, but yeah, I think the damage will be notable and certainly add a lot to the team fight. So you're very much locked in these angles, but should you be coveting and running around unstoppable, you will be firing while on the move, and Bullet Seed is firing out in front of you, regardless of that lock-on earlier on. So you turn into kind of a whirling dervish of seeds or burps as you run around unstoppable.
I've never felt so represented in a game before.
I was watching your gameplay that you were showing, and yeah, the ice skater comparison is very apt. You're sliding all around, sliding in circles around this guy.
You guys are talking about ice skating. I saw Covet, and what immediately went in my head is, okay, I need some 90s, running in the 90s, initial D, deja vu, as I'm going around these corners here, just drifting around.
Yeah, I mean, I did see some Tokyo
life.
Drift. I did see some Tokyo Drift, but he was twirling, he was spinning. I don't know. I saw the figure skate.
I'm just saying, if you're out there, we got any content creators listening to the show, I need an initial D edit of Greedent in my life on my desk tomorrow morning. It's mandatory.
Way cooler than the Mario Ice business. I agree. Multi-berry drifting.
Yes! Literally, that exactly is what's happening here. You know your assignment, content creators.
All this might have been a glorious sell for Greedent, but I'm a little down on the Unite move, which is fair because everything else has been pretty spectacular. Unite move, Berry Belly Flop, has the user eat a berry to recover HP, and he does eat that berry, and he savors that berry, and it takes a bit of time. Leap to the designated area, dealing damage to the opposing Pokemon in the area effect and throwing them. They'll pop up. The user then eats eats another berry. Allowing a special berry now, allowing stashing an unlimited amount of berries in its tail for a short time and resetting the cooldown of all moves. So in a big team fight, you will be spamming your berry eating abilities, and that's where the power really comes. However, if you think you're going to belly flop to victory, this is the saddest little bit of damage it feels like in initial testing, and the speed at which he chooses to eat this berry to unleash this attack is atrocious for the size of belly flop you're going to perform, and you will miss. So don't worry so much about the belly flop part. It's about spamming on the other side.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you say that the ult is a little underwhelming, but the abilities in the rest of the kit are what's cool. Well, if this resets the cooldown on all your other abilities, then it basically, then that's good, right? if the abilities are the fun part and this gives you another round at your abilities, then that's great.
It's
I
true.
think this is super cool. There's everything I look at this character is just like, it's such high skill cap, so much you can do. It's amazing.
Just a complete miss.
Kyle's not sold.
The belly flop thing. Maybe it should have been called Infinite Berries. I think I got tricked by the belly flop name and expected belly flop performance and that to be the main hit. I agree with you completely that the spamminess and the actual abilities on the other side are where this is going to have its power.
For sure.
That reminds me of Sylveon, right? At first, I thought Sylveon's Unite move was pretty underwhelming as well, because the damage when she hits the ground, I refuse to say slams because she just like daintily hops. But the damage when she hits the ground is not very impressive. But then she gets that bonus damage afterwards, and then you just press all your buttons and you're like, rah, 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 and you do so much damage. So the Unite move itself isn't the power. For Sylveon, it's your damage after you use the Unite move. Like, we can't all be Blastoise and just spin and kill everyone around us.
Definitely.
And that's kind of the story with Unite moves in this game in general, right? Is that given that you have such a big attack speed increase and move speed increase after your ult just globally on everybody, most characters are incentivized to ult very early in the fight.
I only just saw that you posted berries and cream. I'm a little lad who likes berries and cream in our chat here.
Yeah, no, I did that to distract you guys while we're all talking about berries the entire time. It's just been in my head the whole time.
I've just been staring at it. I'm just looking at it.
Beautiful. That trend was not so much anymore, all over our TikTok For You pages, me and Kai, for a while there.
Yeah, Pug's got bones now. That's the thing.
That's the new hotness.
What?
This is just completely foreign to Kyle. Okay, so this has nothing to do with Unite, but it demands context. I'm gonna keep it quick. There's a guy who has a 13-year-old pug, a pug, and every day he lifts it up out of bed and stands it up, and that determines whether or not today is a bones day or a no bones day.
Oh,
If the dog stands on its own after he lifts it up and stands up, then it's a bones day and today will be good. And if the dog crumples back down when he tries to pick it up, it's a no bones day. The pug doesn't have any bones, and today you gotta take it easy a little bit. It's the modern day superstition.
Okay, I mean, that's better than stick bug. You know, I'm down.
Oh, you don't like getting stick bug? No, I love stick bug.
Stick bug was my actual favorite. I still every now and then have like contacted old editor friends from HOTS and been like, this could be a good stick bug meme, and they're like, Mochrie, it's October 2021. Find something new.
Let it go.
Yeah, but now you're up to date, Kyle.
Well, thank you. Kiyeberries, where does all this land on you for the Greedent?
You know, I bought him because I had enough gold coins, so I bought him sight unseen, and I think I have regrets. I feel like this is too much. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I'm like, there's too much going on. There are too many berries. I can't even finish processing all of his abilities. While we were talking about it, I opened Unite up on my phone because I had it open earlier, and I'm like, okay, I bought him, and I'm gonna read through these abilities. Kyle's reading them. I'm watching gameplay. Like, I think I made it through his first set of upgraded moves, and I just closed my phone entirely. Like, I'm like, yeah.
Would you say you're feeling? Would you say you're feeling buried under all the mechanics?
Oh God. I feel like it's a little, maybe if I play him and see it in gameplay, it'll be better. But right now it's a bit overwhelming in terms of what is going on with this lad.
I expect him to look very hectic on the battlefield, as we won't be able to know the nature of his berries or his berry state, and he might be running in circles that are mysterious to us, but make perfect sense for the berry pickup that they're performing.
Hey, can other people see all the trash he throws on the ground? That is a good question that Mochrie posed.
Yeah, because I feel like just by default, if I had to guess, the answer would be no, right? Because that would be so much visual clutter for the enemy team. just stuff all over the
But then it
ground,
might be
you know? Like,
information you want because you know where he's going to be going. So you could be like, I should put my combo here because he's going to go to his berry. Like that could be helpful to you.
definitely.
I'm going to investigate here. I'm jumping in some other streams to see. They might be, you know, a lot of MOBAs have like ghost berries so that the berries are only visible to the Greedent full color, but everyone else has a general sense.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, if you play Alex Straza in Heroes of the Storm, got to reference HOTS. That was my first HOTS reference of the day. If you play Q build, when you get the flower, right? For Alex Straza, the flower it's a flower. It's got red and pink petals, and it's, you know, it's a full-on flower. But for the enemy team or even her allies, it's gray scaled out, and like doesn't sparkle or anything. You know that it's there, but it's not as vibrant as it is for Alex, who needs to go pick it up. I thought the berries might be like that, like for Greedent, they're going to be blue or purple or whatever, but maybe for the enemy team, they're just like gray scaled out.
The interesting thing is, it's tough to know right now. We'll have to report back later because everybody who seems to be on Twitch wanting to play Greedent is getting Greedent because he's not highly desirable. He's a defender and doesn't have the appeal of Blastoise. So if you want to play him day one, it is available.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, right now Blastoise is just in a super good spot. I feel like when I look at my top rank replays of stuff that I'm uploading, it seems that he's almost the only tank, at least before this release, that was getting played at high MMR. So it's interesting to see if this kind of shakes up the tank meta at all.
Blastoise has been my favorite tank to play. I played a lot of Mamoswine too. I think he's fun, and I'm trying to finish that massive quest as well. 24 Mamoswine. I think that could be wins too. It's a lot of pig, but Blastoise feels so strong, feels so much damage. The CC does it, even though he had all those hidden mechanics. I don't read his abilities like Greedent and then go cross-eyed, so that's a big positive.
I feel you.
That's fair enough.
Well, there's a lot more to talk about, and we're pretty deep into the show, so let's go ahead and speed on our way here. But first, we're going to thank the patrons over at patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse. Thank you this week to Homewood and William S. Y'all don't understand how awesome it is to be able to come on the show every week and say we got new patrons over at patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse. We love all of you. Thank you so much for the support of this show. We look forward to those future goals, the continuing coverage that this show brings to Pokemon Unite. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now more. We got a whole patch to talk about. It's tough to decide if we want to talk about the Halloween stuff or the balance first. So let's just take a moment here and do maybe the important balance that will affect all of us. This is the remote stadium updates to Zapdos, Dreadmaw, and Rotom. Wait, Dreadmaw. I wrote Dreadmaw.
Dreadmaw. With an N.
Yeah.
Dreadmaw has a very Warcraft villain with a gigantic mouth sound to it. But yeah,
I got thoughts. I got opinions.
Yeah, bring
it. Go for it.
Mochrie, we were there last night. We were in the trenches. We saw people don't want to go to Dreadnought, even before this patch. I worry that this patch is going to make people go to Dreadnought even less. And I'm telling you, he's still worth more than Rotom. The buff to Rotom didn't make Rotom do anything better. It just made Rotom more likely to do his job that he was never doing in the first place. I don't know how many times you've done Rotom and either A, we just walk away because there's no point in trying to walk him in. You're just like, yeah, we did it, and then you leave. Or you try to walk him in and he gets killed, or he gets your entire team killed trying to walk him in. You know what I mean? It's like a death trap trying to walk him in. So now he walks faster. He's got a little more health, so he's more likely to make it. But once he gets there, it's the same effect. And it's not that great. Like, the XP from Dreadnought was reduced, sure, but I still maintain that XP is more valuable to getting you to a favorable position for Zapdos than whatever you're getting from Rotom. You can go do Rotom, that's fine, you can do it. Just after Dreadnought, just after.
I think I'm not as down on Rotom as you are, but I think I am still in pretty much the same camp as far as how you should actually use this information. in that unless the Dreadnought nerfs are just huge, unless the XP is almost non-existent, I think that setting yourself up for a better late game team fight, like you said, is going to do more. So in agreement there for the most part, just off seeing these changes. But increasing the move speed, HP, and attack of Rotom, and also it does increase the amount of time the goal is broken as well. They added 5 seconds onto that, from 20 to 25 seconds. That means Rotom is harder to hold in lane. You have to defend against it faster, and it takes longer to defend. So it may not change some situations with Rotom. Sometimes it'll play out exactly the same even after you capture it. But there will be games as a result of these changes where someone is held in a side lane just a little bit longer defending against a Rotom. It's harder for them to stand up against Rotom and trade damage with it because it hits harder and has more HP. They have to spend more time in a side lane just holding off Rotom from getting to their goals. And that's time that you're buying where you guaranteed have vision of an enemy player that is somewhere else on the map doing something else, just completely tied up. And as long as you know that you have an enemy player that can't rotate into their team that has to be doing something in that side lane, that gives you so much rotational control, so much just knowledge of what the enemy team is doing, so much extra ability to pressure fights, knowing that the enemy team is not perpetually, but down a player as long as Rotom is out. So I do think it's a very interesting change. Rotom, in general, you talked about dying when people are pushing with Rotom. I think pushing in general in this game is something that people are a little kind of wild about, Pushing up to towers in this game feels
very wild.
It has so many conditions. It's like, you ideally want to do it before 5 minutes have been hit, because then the enemy team doesn't have their super jumps to defend against their tier 2s. It's just so conditional, and we've all been there where everybody takes Dreadnought. It's like, yeah, we all rotated. And then your whole team starts pushing into bottom tier 2, and you're like, where are you guys going? No, you're going to walk right into the super jumps. And then you all get wiped, and all of a sudden you're behind after getting Dreadnought. So my beef with Rotom is not so much about people individually getting baited by Rotom into getting wiped by pushing with it. So much as just I think that pushing itself is, in many cases, a massive bait in this game. I still generally think Dreadnought should be the priority, but I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on under the hood with Rotom right here. So I don't know. Who knows? As long as you're still not getting baited into getting wiped under enemy tier 2s by super jumps, there's some very interesting ramifications going on.
For the Rotom business, I feel like I find myself frequently solo defending its march to victory. Maybe victory is too strong a word, but it's march nonetheless. Should I let it go? If it has more health now, has more movement speed, which means I'm less likely to, in my retreating, keep it out of the goal zone. Should I just let this thing go now? It's been taken, it's done, it's not the big deal. Go down to Dreadnought?
I think it largely depends on just what else is demanding your attention. If you have nothing else to be doing, there are no bosses up, there's no farm to be taken, there's no any of that, then yeah, sure, defend against the Rotom. But if your team needs you at Zapdos, if your team needs you at Dreadnought, that's likely going to take priority in most cases. I also think there's a lot of value in either having a lot of single target damage or being able to push Rotom back, especially if you're defending against a push with Rotom, being able to just push it because they're completely susceptible to CC, negating the enemy team's push effort. And I mean, literally displacing it backward, negates pushes, and having a lot of single target damage allows you to shred it faster. So it's just the sort of calculus of like, how much DPS do I have on Rotom? Can I stall it if there's a person here? How quickly can I rotate away from Rotom to my teammates? What else is calling my attention right now? There's no just one, you should or shouldn't do it.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's tactics, right? And so maybe this balance pushes that a little more interesting. So shield amount gained after KO on Dreadnought, reduce the amount of XP points gained, reduced. But still, in both your opinions, do it. It's still important.
Yeah, that's
I feel
what
like
I'm leaning right now, without seeing the specific changes.
I feel like the Dreadnought nerf, more than anything, just makes it, if you've lost every Dreadnought, you're less likely to be stomped at Zapdos. You're still behind, and Dreadnought is still good and important, but the gap isn't as large, right? The gap, and we lost 3 Dreadnoughts. We're super far behind now, and XP isn't as huge. But if your team is still winning every Dreadnought, you are ahead, and you've probably got better team fight and just a better... something is going on that is causing you to win. So you're still ahead, and it's still a great advantage to have, but maybe that gap isn't so massive.
That makes perfect sense. What was the old value on Zapdos's energy gain? Because that has been reduced in these notes.
So Zapdos is an interesting case. Zapdos, before, when you would last hit it, when you specifically were the person that would last hit it, you would get 30 points, and everyone else on your team gets 20 points. The people who are alive when Zapdos gets knocked out, they get 20 points. Now, you still get those 30 points as the last hitter, but your teammates each only get 15 points instead of 20. So this really isn't that much of a difference, in my opinion. You have 4 players, up to 4 players on your team are each missing 5 points. So that's 20 points. At most, this will cause your team to get 20 fewer points from clearing Zapdos. And Zapdos is always cleared in the last 2 minutes because it only spawns in the last 2 minutes. So those points are doubled. So at most, this change subtracts 40 points from a successfully captured Zapdos. That just isn't really a lot. That is enough to change games. Absolutely, that's enough to change games. And a lot of games have been decided by smaller than that. But I think it's a bit of a conservative change right here. Not looking to just overhaul everything and throw the baby out with the bathwater. They want to just tweak it a little bit and see what changes.
So still Zapdos and do the thing that we've been doing anyway. It'll just...
still huge.
Yeah.
Still game deciding. Yeah, just not as insanely game deciding. I've had plenty of games where the enemy team captured Zapdos and I just went and back-capped on their structures. I've had that happen to me, where the team that catches Zapdos still loses. Overwhelmingly, though, I still think getting Zapdos will be the advantage.
Let's dive into a short version of these buffs and nerfs that happened here. Mochrie, would you like to lead us through?
Okay. So we've got a lot of changes here that we're looking at. Just for the quick version, Pikachu got buffs, just straight buffs, to Thunder and Volt Tackle. So Thunder is the competitor to Electro Ball, which seemingly everybody picks, so that one I don't anticipate as having a huge effect. But Volt Tackle was picked pretty decently often. Both of these got their damage increased, so that's just a significant buff, no downsides. Slowbro got a buff to his Amnesia, but Amnesia I do believe conflicts with, and I can go ahead and verify this super quick, but Amnesia was not picked a lot, because it competed with Telekinesis, a major CC tool for Slowbro. So a buff, but probably won't really actually change too much unless it's a massive buff. Gengar got also a buff as well. He has a new passive that when he reaches level 5, he now heals himself for 1/8 of the special attack damage that he does. So he's going to get some more ability to sustain himself a bit when he's dealing big damage, to win duels that way, to heal himself back up once he reaches level 5. Blastoise just straight nerfed across the board. Hydro Pump, Water Spout, Hydro Typhoon, which I believe is his ult,
Correct.
I remember correctly. And Hydro Typhoon, anybody that played against Blastoise knew it hit hard. So a damage nerf to that, in my opinion, was sorely needed, and we got it. Blastoise nerfed. Venusaur, Giga Drain, which was the thing that was really making Venusaur kind of wild in last patch, had both its damage and healing nerfed. And so that is a massive nerf. They went at it from 2 different elements. I say just without seeing the numbers, that sounds like a massive nerf, but of course numbers always add context, so we're gonna have to see. But Solar Beam actually got its damage buffed. So clearly they're trying to move us back towards Solar Beam after the given patch, I think. Which is really fun for sniping bosses.
I feel like it's interesting that his for Venusaur, his pedal thing, was it called Pedal Dance, Pedal Tornado?
Yes,
was not nerfed. So that's a lot of damage. That was not nerfed. I know the self-healing off of Giga Drain was big, but I don't feel like Venusaur is going to fall off because the petals still shred.
The interesting thing is that the value of Petal Dance and Giga Drain are tied within one another because Petal Dance reduces the cooldown of Giga Drain, and Giga Drain keeps you alive for more Petal Dances. They were very symbiotic in that way. So I kind of see any nerf to one as a nerf to the other. You know, if they nerf Petal Dance, then I'm not getting as many Giga Drains. And if they nerf Giga Drain, then the reward for the Petal Dances isn't as big. It is going to be interesting to see how it plays out, though. Lucario, I believe, just straight nerfs. Yeah, I'm looking at this right now. Straight nerfs. Attack got lowered. Steadfast got a longer cooldown. I believe that's his passive that gives him a shield when he takes damage. Just going to go ahead and verify that is indeed the case. And also a bug fix, that the bug was increasing some of his damage on power-up punch unnecessarily. So Lucario nerfed across the board. Garchomp buffed across the board. Basic attack damage even higher. And that's one of the big parts of Garchomp, in my opinion, is how hard his basic attacks hit. So maybe we'll start to see some of that come in soon. And also Dragon Rush now deals more damage. So Garchomp buffs just after they made us play him for the Battle Pass. Too little too late, in my opinion, but regardless. Zeraora got a nerf, a bug fix that effectively amounts to a nerf. To Zeraora's Wild Charge that's leveled up into multiple enemy characters. So first of all, just to explain this is only for a very late game ability with a bug when hitting multiple people, and you didn't even really choose this ability in the first place because almost every Zeraora just goes discharge anyway. So the Zeraora change is kind of a nerf, but I mean, like, it's in such a specific niche scenario that it kind of just doesn't matter. Cramorant's Dive had some kind of visual bug. The patch notes are not super clear about it, but Cramorant's Dive had a visual issue that apparently has been fixed, and a Talonflame as well had a passive, Gale Wings, that increased their move speed at high health that apparently wasn't working properly after a takedown, after a knockout. And again, the patch notes are not super clear about, oh, maybe it's when Talonflame gets knocked out, then Talonflame wasn't getting move speed after a respawn. Maybe it was Talonflame not after knocking someone else out. Just from my experience with these kinds of games, I assume it was the former, that Talonflame after getting knocked out was not enjoying as much move speed as they should from their passive. And apparently that bug's been fixed too. So that amounts to a Talonflame buff. A very slight one, but a Talonflame buff through a bug fix. And those are all of the character changes that we've had so far, as well as the 3 boss changes that we've already had. And that covers the whole patch.
Great rundown. We will continue to report on that next week when we talk about balance in particular. Let's make sure we get some time into this Halloween event that's going on. A quick glance at the Reddit in the middle of the show has shown that this conversation has blown up quite a bit. So this will be a introductory conversation, and we'll probably continue it next week. So what's going on is there are pumpkins to be collected, and collecting said pumpkins allow you to unlock certain things, including Greedent. Greedent can be bought with these pumpkins, 70 of them. However, over the course of your quests, you're only going to collect some 96, but you can collect more doing the special Mer Stadium Halloween event where your item is replaced with a throwable pumpkin. Turning enemies into pumpkins will allow you to have more pumpkin points to get these rewards with. So you go into Mer Stadium. If you've never played it before, this is one of the quick match games, and you might be playing to win normally. Right now, everyone's just running around hitting each other with pumpkins so they can get as many points as possible. So it's absolute chaos. You take those back. As I said, for 70, you can get the brand new Pokemon Greedent, but you could spend 5 on a card border. You can get card stickers for 5. You could turn in 10 and get a background for your trainer card. You could get a new trainer pose of you doing like a vampire hands thing for 20, or for 50, you can get a witch hat, which people have also mentioned that you can get that witch hat for 770 tickets or 77 gems. So it's not worth doing necessarily if you're after that green, because it's just so expensive to get the witch hat. There's also
and one thing I'm wondering, just before you move on, did you say you have the option to buy Greedent with the pumpkin's currency?
Correct.
So what I'm wondering is, can you do that after you've already bought Greedent to just turn all those pumpkins into gold? By getting a refund, it says, oh, you already have Greedent, have the gold value of Greedent instead. Here, take 8,000 gold.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so...
But you spent
Yeah,
8,000 gold on him in the first place, so what would it...
Well, sure, I'm asking if it gives you the option to buy him with pumpkins, as opposed to, oh, you already bought Greedent with gold, you don't get the option to buy him with pumpkins, so you can't refund that gold at all.
Wouldn't that also
remind me when I've played for a week and have enough pumpkins, because I did buy him with gold. So remind me. We'll find out.
And I don't know how many pumpkins you can get out of the Mer Stadium Halloween event that you mentioned, but if you could potentially buy Greedent twice through the pumpkins, then that could maybe even open you up to, maybe passing up on some of these cosmetics in favor of more gold. I doubt that was probably pushing it, buying Greedent twice with pumpkins. But if you can do it, a lot of people are starving for gold in the current meta, and I'm sure some would rather have 8,000 gold than another set of cosmetics. So it's certainly worth looking into.
It's marked as a completed quest, so it would fly to the bottom. You can't do it more than once. However, that would allow you to transform gems into gold, which would be a unique transaction. But I don't know if you would. There's also all sorts of new events, such as a knockout Rotom a total of 12 times, and you get a temporary pass for Mamoswine. You get a 1-day license where you get to go hang out with Mamoswine for a bit.
We had that last week, by the way, Kyle. Just
so you know. There was
because you can see new event missions part 3 right under it, and you're looking at part 2.
Okay, so there was another one where I could get a temporary license. I just completely missed that. That's cool.
Yeah, that came in. So that's related to the quest that Kiyeberries has been talking about. I believe it's 12 wins as Mamoswine.
There's one for 12 and one for 24.
I think the 24 is Defender games, but Mamoswine is a Defender, so you might as well,
No, there's a 24 Mamoswine one as well.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but because I finished the 12 one, and then I saw I needed even more Mamoswine games.
Is this an answer to that, though? So if I go and do the event mission and get a temporary Mamoswine, I could then turn around and use that Mamoswine to complete other missions?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to buy Mamoswine to complete all the Mamoswine quests.
So you said this was here last week. Is this now an answer to the Garchomp problem that was presented?
It's kind of interesting because this was live during the Garchomp challenge, was that, even while they were giving us this uncompletable Garchomp challenge for many free-to-play players last week in the Battle Pass, they still had this Mamoswine thing up at the same time where they knew how to solve the issue and give you temporary access to the character. And I think it's so funny, okay? Just I could rant about this Garchomp thing. You had to play 6 games of Garchomp for the Battle Pass weekly last week. And check it out. The week before that Battle Pass event came out, Garchomp was free. They give us a Battle Pass quest to play Garchomp. He's not on the free rotation. The week after, they immediately put him back on free rotation the week before and after. And while the quest is going on, there's a different quest to play Mamoswine that they give you Mamoswine for. So they 100% know what's happening. And it felt like a bit of a slap to the face.
Gotcha.
You know how at the start we were asking if there was a test realm for this game? I kind of feel like sometimes maybe we are the test realm.
Yeah, I thought that was
because they're learning. They saw the thing with Garchomp and they're like, oh, and then they fix it with the Mamoswine thing. So there was no test realm, but they tested it in live,
I'm telling you, us Switch players, we were the beta testers. Okay, they come out with all this fancy new UI stuff and functionality. When it comes out on phones, we were doing the beta test the whole time.
On one hand, it kind of sucks that the Garchomp thing happened the way it did, but then seeing them rectify it the next week with the Mamoswine temporary pass thing, I mean, it does show that they are learning from mistakes and making positive changes. So while it was negative at the time, something good has come from it. Yeah, maybe.
Hopefully.
There's also
trying to find that silver lining.
There's also a lot of like percents on the pumpkin box drop rates that I don't fully understand yet, having not had a lot of time to participate. All I do know is that there's a very, very clear road that I can use to get enough pumpkins by just playing to get Greedent for free. And to me, I was like, sweet. That's awesome. I understand a lot of people think he's lame. I think he looks really, really fun. I was absolutely heading over to the gem store before I went and checked out that I could just go exchange him in. I can give up my witch hat for such things.
I need that witch hat.
Oh, you've already got him, so it all works out.
That's why I got him a gold. I'm like, no, I need those cosmetics. I need that.
But this box thing, and just seeing over the course of our record today, the Reddit is absolutely exploding about these boxes. So we'll report back next week as to what's going on with the pumpkin boxes here. But beyond that, that brings us to the end of today's packed little show. Be sure to check out this ridiculous berry monstrosity and let us know what you think using the email over at aeosclubhouse@gmail.com, or you can jump in the Discord, Aeos Clubhouse, and you can find a link to that over on the Twitter at Aeos Clubhouse. This week, let's shoot it on over to Kiyeberries to tell us more about where she can be found.
Hello, I am still Kiyeberries, mostly Kiye berries. I'm having some interesting computer issues this week, but it doesn't affect my Unite playing because I play it on the Switch. Woo. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and I don't know, everywhere on the internet, TikTok at Kiyeberries. I hope to see you guys playing more tanks so I don't have to do it every game. Please, God help me. Yeah, see you guys in Pokemon Unite. Throw it over to our pal Mochrie.
Hello. Well, it's such a good time talking with you. I am Mochrie, MOCHRIETV. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. But what about you, Kyle?
Well, I can be found over at kyleferguson.com.
And how many S's, pray tell, are in Ferguson?
There are 2 S's in this version of Ferguson of which I use and was born with. kyleferguson.com is where you can find all the links to this show, the other shows I do, like DM Gives Inspiration, if you're interested in learning how to play 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons as the DM, the best role there is, Dungeon Master, of course. But you can also find all that sort of Pokemon Unite content that we're creating for Aeos Clubhouse here. You can also subscribe on our YouTube, should you choose. We'd love to have you over there at Aeos Clubhouse. Everything is at Aeos Clubhouse. And thank you for joining us on this very excellent episode
Ooh.
of Aeos Clubhouse. Thank you to the patrons again.
Thanks for joining in.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
See you later.